Right, it's 10 o'clock, we'll make a start. Good morning, members, good morning, officers, good morning, members of the public. Welcome to our South Hams Exec for June. I'm going to start with some welcomes. So I'd like to start off by welcoming on Teams Councillor Rake, who has joined the Executive as Deputy Leader and Member for Finance. And I'd also like to welcome Councillor Hancock, who's joined the Exec to take on the Planning and Strategic Planning portfolio. You are both very welcome. I'd also like to take this opportunity to say a big thank you to Councillor Victor Abbott, who has come down from the Executive, stepped down to concentrate on his county role. Congratulations to him for his election to county. And just to let you know, his portfolio is being looked after by Councillor Brazil. So there we are, that's that. Okay, item 1 on today's agenda is minutes, to approve the minutes of the meeting held as a correct record on the 24th of April. Are we all happy with those, members? Happy to accept? Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's fine, brilliant. And then little b is to note the minutes of the Salcombe Harbour Board meeting held on the 17th of March, of which there are no recommendations to council. Are we all happy to note those? Thank you very much. Excellent, that's all noted there, Mr. White, thank you. Item 2, urgent business. I'm not aware of any urgent business. No, thank you very much. Okay, item 3, it shouldn't be necessary to divide the agenda. I think there is some exempt information in one of the reports at the very end, but to do with the solar panels, but I don't think we should need to divide. Item 4, declarations of interest. In accordance with the Code of Conduct, members are invited to declare any disclosable pecuniary interests, other registrable interests and non-registrable interests, including the nature and extent of such interests they may have in any items to be considered at this meeting. And I can't see anyone at all, so that's fine. Thank you very much. Item 5, public question time. We have had 4 members of the public ask questions, so we'll go on to that now. First question is from Mr. Grocott. Mr. Grocott, do you want to come forward and use a microphone and read your question, sir? Should be on the screen above my head.
Technology is not my strong point. Okay. What are the financial costs of introducing and maintaining the e-bike facility? Was serious consideration given to the possible consequences for pedestrians using an already busy and hazardous high street? And I include 4th Street in that. High Street is just a term for the whole road. And why was there no prior public consultation enabling such concerns to be raised?
Thank you very much. Councillor Birch.
Thank you for the question, Mr. Grocott. So the financial aspects of the scheme are commercially sensitive due to contractual obligations. The scheme has been funded by a UK government grant, and this is a system that was set up by the previous government to help promote cycling in rural areas. It is being delivered by this council in partnership with Active Cycling Projects, who run the with Active Cycling Projects. The scheme will initially run as a trial for up to 3 years, and these plans were consulted on and are in the council plan. I can tell you that the council's investment using government grants is in the order of £200,000 for this project, and the scheme has been funded by a UK government grant to help promote cycling in rural areas. In other words, strictly speaking, it hasn't cost the ratepayers of South Hams a penny. We took pedestrian safety into account. In fact, one of the key reasons for introducing the e-bike scheme was to reduce the number of cars on the High Street and 4th Street. Cars are a major source of danger in busy pedestrian areas, and road casualty statistics show that motor vehicles are responsible for over 99% of pedestrian fatalities. Bicycles account for a very small fraction, typically less than 1%. High streets are particularly vulnerable due to high footfall, narrow pavements and frequent vehicle movements. By encouraging more people to use e-bikes instead of cars, we aim to reduce traffic volumes, lower speeds and create a safer, more pleasant environment for everyone, especially pedestrians. We understand the importance of public consultation. In this case, the urgency of the funding window meant we had to move quickly. It's also worth noting that similar active travel schemes are often implemented without a formal consultation, particularly when they are designed to improve safety and sustainability. That said, we're committed to ongoing community engagement. We welcome your feedback and will continue to monitor the scheme's impact to ensure it benefits all users of the high street. And if I could just add to this, that Mr. Grocott, you live very close to Follerton and you will have the advantage of having one of the cycling hubs close to your residence. And I look forward to you using the scheme to take you into Totnes and enjoy yourself on a scheme. Bearing in mind, it hasn't cost the council taxpayers of Southampton a penny. So I look forward to seeing you going up. I was going to say up and down the high street. I hope you don't go down. Up the high street.
Thank you, Councillor Birch. Mr. Grocott, we'll make sure you have that answer as a written answer as well. We'll make sure you get that as a written answer as well.
Thank you very much.
No problem. The second question this morning is from Anthony Dale. I don't know if Mr. Dale is with us. No? Okay, I'll read it out then. Can the council please reverse the decision by the depot supervisor not to collect recycling from the households on the south side of Hayes Close in Bridgetown, ordering us instead to take it to a collection point? Councillor Brazil?
Thank you. I've got a written reply here, which obviously will be sent to Mr. Dale. Just to praise it, basically, we continually review our collection rounds, and on this particular one, which I know Sarah has actually been on herself, so knows it personally, that there were problems here. So we've reviewed it. We came to a new collection point. To be fair, most of the residents have been I wouldn't necessarily be supportive, but have put up with it and have accepted that it's the right thing to do. Mr. Dale unfortunately hasn't taken that position, which is absolutely his right. But we do have a duty of care both to our operatives as well, and that I think it's telling the fact that Mr. Dale wasn't prepared to take his boxes to where we wanted to the collection point. You can imagine if you've got 40 of those boxes. So I think that in itself tells a tale. Apologise that people, obviously people do get upset when things are changed, and we accept that, but we feel that it's important that we review it, make it as sufficient as possible, as safe as possible. And just by way of reference, we have written to, I think it's over 100 properties, and this is the only one complaint that we've had. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Brazil. Third question is from Edward Funnell.
Right.
I'll read it out then as he's not here. So the net zero update highlights buses, HGVs and logistics as medium/high use cases for Langage hydrogen. The UK's Climate Change Committee's 7th carbon budget states hydrogen will only have a very niche, if any, role in surface transport. On what evidence is the Freeport basing its contradictory use cases?
Thank you. Can I thank Mr. Funnell for his question? The net zero uptake slide within the report on hydrogen off-takers is a screenshot from the hydrogen demand study published on the Freeport website. The link will be in the written answer to the question. The uses case presented on page 9 of the study shows 11 industries with a potential hydrogen demand with indicative timeline to UK commercial adoption. On page 10 of the study, the fast-moving consumer goods sector is identified as the segment that dominates potential demand at Langage in the early years. The study was produced by the Freeport Hub using interviews with local businesses and online data as the evidence base. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Birch. And the last question today is from Mr. Howell. Mr. Howell, come forward.
Do any of the three agreed OceanGate pre-lets and the fourth company with whom there is a verbal agreement have existing operations elsewhere within Devon or Cornwall? And, if so, in how many instances is that the case? And, of the 7 Beaumont Way site visits, how many were made by organisations with existing operations in Devon or Cornwall? Secondly, do the Council continue to remain confident that the Freeport will create the promised 3,500 well-paid jobs? And, if so, by when?
Thank you, Mr. Howell. Councillor Birch.
I'll get this right one of these days. Okay. The answer to your first question, working with Plymouth City Council and the Plymouth and South Devon Freeport, this is offering, working with Plymouth City Council, the Freeport is offering 8 units in the OceanGate development. Although construction is yet to commence, 4 of the units are subject to pre-let agreements, with one occupier seeking to take 3 units and another giving verbal agreement for a single unit. Both companies are overseas-owned businesses already operating in the area, but looking to expand their operation and create new advanced engineering jobs in the process. Both are unable to expand in their current locations, and the Freeport offer has proved attractive in enabling them to make additional investment. It's not possible to share more details at this stage, but the Freeport will do so as and when the development progresses. Of the Beaumont Way site visits, 4 have been with existing companies in the area looking to expand their operations to enter growing markets such as floating offshore wind. 2 have been new startup companies looking to establish manufacturing and trading operations, and 1 to an out-of-area company looking to reshore R&D operations and bring manufacturing in-house. Again, the Freeport benefits have proved attractive in reducing the costs associated with business expansion and so freeing up funds in the business to invest in new jobs, equipment, etc. In all business inquiries, the requirements to demonstrate incrementally is made clear. That's the answer to the first question, but can I just add to that within the report there is a report on displacement which went before the Council's Audit and Governance Working Group, and that provides information concerning how we and how the Freeport tackle the matter of potential displacement. Going to your second question, the Freeport is a 20-year project and the Council remains confident that it will be successful, and I'll touch on that when I come to address the report that's before this this committee later in the agenda. So thank you once again for the questions, Mr. Howell.
Thank you very much, Councillor Birch. Okay, that concludes agenda item 5. We will go on to agenda item 6, which is the executive forward plan, of which you all have a copy. It's a standard item on the agenda. Would anyone like to make any observations, ask any questions on the forward plan? Councillor Hodgson.
Thank you. Yeah, there's a community engagement point that's going to be raised and a catch up on where we are in September. And I just, sorry, our community consultation and engagement programme, and sorry, I haven't got it right in front of me at the moment, but I just thought that might be somewhere to maybe also, if possible, bring in a presentation from Jane Nichols of Sustainable South Hants regarding what's going on with the community composting sites, if you'd like. Would that be an appropriate place to do it, or would you?
Yeah, I mean, the chief executive said we can absolutely find a way of doing it, whether we do it under that or whether we do it under a
Full council or something
absolutely.
like that. But it's just, it would be something maybe for the report, just to kind of give us a bit of a.
yeah, full council would
Where we
probably be
are.
better. But Mr. White, can you just make a note? Yeah, we'll do it if we do a full member briefing prior to full council.
Okay, yeah.
That'd be a
thank
good
you.
idea.
Yeah, I think it would just be really nice to report back and just update ourselves a bit.
Yeah, that's
Thank
fine.
you.
That's fine. While the microphone's open, members, you will note that our next meeting is action-packed. I think it would be fair to say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 substantive items. Did you want to comment?
Thank you, Leader. Yes, we will have a look at whether it's possible to perhaps move some of those items into September. There are some really big and very important items there. And organisational decarbonisation we are doing a huge amount of work on, and we are at a point where we're certainly able to brief members, but it might be that that's one that might need a little bit more time, so we might well move that to September. But we will have a look, and in discussion with you, Leader, we'll agree if we are going to move any of those items back.
Okay, thank you. Either way, I would probably recommend to members not to make any meetings much before 2 o'clock on that day, because I can't see us finishing at midday with an agenda of that size. Any more questions on the forward plan at this stage? No, nothing online either. That's fine. Okay, thank you. All right, we'll take that as accepted then, and we will move on then to agenda item 7, which is the Freeport update. Councillor Birch.
Right. Okay, thank you. The report is effectively a progress report as to what we've been doing and the progress that is being made, the Freeport. And you'll see within the report, mention is made of the regular meetings that Mr. Brooke and I are having with the Audit and Governance Working Group. These are working groups that scrutinise the key issues affecting the Freeport, and the items that we have not only been scrutinised on, but also asked to provide information as to what is happening on the Freeport. That includes the delivery of Langage and Sherford, includes the displacement and gateway policy, and also the matter of net zero. So, as you can see, we are under regular scrutiny from the working group. And I think the meetings between us and the working group proved successful and a good way of the council scrutinising the activities of the Freeport. The Freeport, by way of progress, is going from a development to delivery, and that is set out as to what is happening on the site at Langage. And the report does set out in some detail the progress that we're making. If I was given this report a week ago, I wouldn't be able to say this, but I will say this now, is that as a result of the government's defence review, which was announced on Monday, Plymouth and South Devon, and in particular the Freeport, will certainly benefit from the plans for new submarines and technology based in this area. These plans will result in a huge boost for jobs, not only at Babcock, but also all its associated local suppliers. There is every possibility that these companies in this area who may not regard, there are companies in this area who may not regard themselves as defence companies at the moment, will certainly have the opportunity to benefit from the increase in the defence budget, which will not only create jobs, but will result in economic growth across the district. So we, in my view, we as a council need to be wide awake to the opportunities, and being a key part of the Freeport, puts us in a strong position to reap the possible rewards coming from the defence review. And the question that was put earlier about job opportunities, I think this was a result of the defence review. Then the numbers that were previously quoted may well be excluded. I certainly hope that's the case. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Birch. I know we've got questions. Councillor O'Callaghan.
Thanks very much. Thanks for that, John. The council's direct role, this council's direct role in this is proposing to borrow to acquire the land at Sherford, and I've got a couple of questions, not least on behalf of the public who are here and listening, on Teams and online on YouTube. 4.1 of the report, we're told that the council has worked closely with the principal officers at Vistry, Taylor Wimpey and Babcock, and it's frustrating to report the deal has yet to conclude. So just got a question on why the deal is yet to conclude, and also bearing in mind that local government reorganisation appears to be happening in whatever form, and that this council may not exist in a couple of years' time. And also, one of the options that is being looked at, there are various options as to how we might reorganise in local government in Devon. One of the options that Plymouth is pushing forward is that they want to take over some of the South Hams, and that would be likely to include Sherford. So in that context, can we explain why it's still a good idea to borrow this money in order to acquire the land at Sherford? Thanks very much.
Okay, first of all, as far as the land deal at Sherford is concerned, just can I remind members that the council has resolved to purchase the land at Sherford in the sum of £7 million, and that 50% of the funding from this is being contributed to the council to assist it in purchasing the land. That they are contributing 50%. Therefore, effectively, we as a council will be purchasing a very valuable employment site at Sherford for £7 million at a cost of £3.5 million. The position is that there have been issues in the various legal documents that have delayed the exchange of contracts and completion and the negotiation with Babcock. It's my understanding, and I don't know whether Mr. Brooke want to add to what I say, but I think we're hopefully close to resolving all the issues that have occurred. And therefore, it's in the very near future, we as a council will be able to proceed to purchase the Sherford site. As a result of that, that will then be followed by, in every possibility, of Babcock, bearing in what I said a moment ago, wishing to proceed to exercise its option that it will have on purchasing the land, and that as and when that does happen, and there's every likelihood that it will, we as a council will benefit financially. Can I just say that the monies that we are borrowing, the £3.5 million that we are borrowing to fund the purchase of the site, the interest on that, the interest on that loan is being funded out of the business retention fund held by the Freeport, and therefore there will not be an interest charge to this council. There is a financial benefit. I think all what I've just said will happen well before any reorganisation plans emerge, and that being the case, there is a financial benefit to this council for us to proceed with this purchase, which, as I mentioned earlier, has previously been agreed by this council.
Thank you, Councillor Birch. Okay, Councillor Callan, happy? Yeah.
Yep, that's the answer.
Great. I will come to you, Councillor Bonham, online, but I've got Councillor Hodgson first.
Thank you. So I'm looking at page 46, which is listing out the net zero route map, and it says there that there will be tangible net zero outcomes. Or it says it's delivering them. Is it possible to have some kind of a piece of document that shows the actual metrics of this? So that, because I mean, obviously net zero is a balancing act. It's like a budget. You know, you look at what's going out and what's coming in. It'd be really useful to see what the basis of all of that is, to actually understand which is intended to give the best benefits, and also to just give comfort that it's not just easy words, if you don't mind me saying so. The second point is who is going to be the beneficiary of the 10 megawatt green hydrogen production facility at Langage? Which companies will benefit, or whoever? Because I know we've in the past thought it was going to be the residential area, but it's not. So it'd be useful to know who that is. And what was my third point? No, that'll do for now. Thank you.
Your turn.
Thank you, Councillor Birch. I think yes, absolutely. We can continue to give you updates about the net zero progress and the tangible projects and tangible outcomes and carbon budgets and the impact of earthworks versus the reduction in carbon that's dealt with through the life of projects. I think the right way for that to happen would be, as we currently do, we do bring back these 6 monthly reports. So absolutely, and in between those periods, if we want to have a discussion, we can. There's a net zero officer working within the Freeport, so I can arrange a meeting with them. And in fact, the working group have had that benefit, which is why this information is included here. So yes, 100%, we can support that. And then your question about demand as opposed to supply for the hydrogen, the answer to that is not known yet. It's not fixed. They haven't built I suppose they have the confidence in the market off the back of the hydrogen supply analysis, which is included in this report, to proceed to build the hydrogen, make the investment, many, many millions, which is great. And they are confident that they will be selling to the sectors of transport mainly, because that's one of the hard to decarbonise sectors of high carbon usage, not usage, but output. But they don't have contracts in place at the current time. But it's very chicken and egg. You've got to have built, it's a bit like you've got to build the petrol station first before the cars can roll up and take it effectively. So that's their strategy, and they have the confidence to proceed, but they don't have individual supply contracts arranged as yet. I think nearer the time, they will probably get them set up. So I think it's go on stream in 2027. So ask me again in 24 months.
Okay, thank you. So just to clarify then, I mean, thank you for the offer of a meeting, but what I really just want is to see it on paper so I can actually look at those budgets, the estimates of the budgets, because otherwise, be a bit careful about wild claims. The other thing I did want to ask was, in terms of the future of the Freeport, obviously there's this conversation going on about unitaries. We've only got a couple of years left probably for this council itself to exist, and we've had a key role in it. How will that handover happen? Who will it go to? Will it just fall into whichever unitary happens to be there, or will it be split? I'm just be interested to understand that as well, please.
Okay. What is as I've said on many occasions, the Freeport is effectively governed by the 3 local authorities. That's Devon County Council and this council and Plymouth City Council. They have entered into a partnership agreement. There is a document that sets out all the how the 3 authorities will work together for the benefit of the Freeport. As to what happens if and when there is reorganisation, I think what I need to look at is to look at that partnership agreement, see what the provisions are. If my memory serves me correctly, and I haven't looked at it for a long while, I don't think it does mention in there, in the event of there being local government reorganisation, as to what happens. But I think quite clearly, in order to answer your question, I need to delve into the partnership agreement, have a discussion with Mr. Fairburn, and then report back to you. So I think I'm not really, in order to give you an accurate answer. Can I just go back to your question on the matter of the net zero? And now that you're in an exalted position within the county council, that one of the officers, Polly Frost, is working not only with the county council but also with the Freeport on the matter of net zero. In fact, she is one of the net zero champions for the Freeport. So I think it might be helpful when you have a moment is to speak to Polly Frost, and she can probably give you more information on the Freeport and net zero than certainly we can, because she's certainly, as I say, leading on that for the Freeport.
Right. If I may, just the rationale for my questions is I think there's a lot of people really interested in how net zero works and what it might look like. And I think if we've got such a major activity going on in our area, it's a really good opportunity to share that, because where there's positives and benefits, it can then be good to serve others. Whereas when you just see a line saying tangible benefits, it's like, well, what's that look like? You know, as it goes on, I think it's really useful to share things that can actually be encouraging, because a lot of people don't get off the starting blocks if they don't feel they quite know how. So I think there's something that is to be potentially, I mean, as you know, I haven't been happy about the Freeport itself, but the potential benefits of what might come from this, I think, is something that we should really bear in mind as being how we can encourage others, because we've got quite a big mountain to climb to get over everybody over this net zero side of things. So I think it's where we can share and good practice and etc. I think it's really helpful.
No, thank you. I think you're absolutely right, Councillor Hodgson, and that point is well heard. Okay, Councillor Bonham, welcome. Good morning.
Yeah, thank you, Leader, and appreciate this report from the Freeport and the working group. And it seems to me that the working group set up as part of audit and governance is operating now very effectively. It's very good to see, as councillors have said, the report on net zero, and also on the displacement issues, and also on the progress of some of the major sites. But what I'd like to ask Councillor Birch, if I can, is overall, the progress looks good, but one of the recommendations from the work in audit and governance was that we compare the progress and development of the Freeport to the actual plan as set out. And this is important because the business case is dependent on the Freeport coming on stream on time, so that the business rates can flow as appropriately to South Hams and to the other councils. So I'm keen that we hear overall whether it's tracking successfully on time, John, if we could, and also whether it will be useful for you and for all of us to hear from the working group on the timeline in the next period, because you mentioned in the document that the next 12 months is very critical in bringing the sites and the businesses into the sites, so that the business rates can flow. So would it be useful if the working group, or that this executive asked the working group to help you validate the timeline, so that we can see if we're on track going forward, or whether there's some gaps? Thanks very much.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor Bonham. Can I just suggest that, that you perhaps have a word with the chair of the working group, Councillor Nix, and put that suggestion to her, that it be one of the subjects that we discuss at the future working group meeting. I think that would be one way of answering or dealing with the matter you raise, and we'd be more than happy to, quite obviously, have that examined and come up with the current state of play. Can I just add to that one of the Freeport's priorities for this year is to concentrate on progressing Langage. I think, you know, in what you've said a moment ago, is that it is critical that that we make certain that effectively happens, and that is one of the priorities of the Freeport. And I think that would come out in the when we meet with the working group to go over the timeline and future progress that you mentioned.
Thank you, Councillor Birch. Councillor McKay.
Yeah, just a minor thing. About the those companies that are going to be using the hydrogen from the hydrogen plant. I understood that the quarry that is just down the road basically was going to be using, and there was being a pipeline built, and there was planning. There was quite a lot of fuss about the planning permission. Is that still the case? That they will be using a substantial amount of the hydrogen produced?
No, I'm afraid that the two commercial entities had those discussions, but in the end concluded it wasn't something they wished to pursue. But I'm afraid I wasn't in the room, so I don't really have more detail than that.
Thank you, Mr. Brooke. Any more questions on this agenda item? Councillor Taylor.
Yes, John, Councillor Birch, I just want to know roughly what the implications would be financially if we ran well over time on the development of the Langage site. Yeah, what implications would it have on the financial situation if Langage does not get delivered on time? Because we're now looking at time elements, and when it comes up, because we would be losing out on rents and everything else that goes with that. So, I mean, we're going to borrow from the Public Loan Board a certain amount of money to, from our point of view, to bring this forward.
Yeah, I mean, as I mentioned earlier, the funding of the purchase of Sherford will be the monies for that will come from the retained business rates as a result of the development on Langage, and therefore, if there is a delay in Langage, then there may be an impact on the retained business rate. That is a situation that is not envisaged at the moment, but it may well happen. If that does happen, then that will be the subject of a report back to this executive.
Thank you, Councillor Birch. Any more questions on this item? No? Okay, well, it is for noting, so that's the only recommendation. So I'll be happy to note, councillors. Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you, Councillor Birch. Okay, next agenda item then. Agenda item 8, Totnes Skate Park. Councillor Brazil.
Yes, thank you very much. Yes, can I welcome this report, and I hope that people are happy to support it. It's been a long time coming, and I'd like to thank the sort of perseverance and dedication of officers and indeed councillors who've supported this project through thick and thin. The finishing line seems to be in sight now. So what this report is asking us to do is to move a earmarked amount of money, 150,000, from next year's spending into this year's spending, which will allow the project organisers to move ahead and actually finish the project. You'll see that part 3 of the recommendations was that it was conditioned that Totnes Town Council was supported it by way of an extra £30,000. My understanding is that they have indeed done that, and that has been agreed. So that's good news, and thank you to Totnes Town Council. Can I just say, from my own experience about the skate park in Kingsbridge, it's been a fantastic success. I think of the many things that have been done and we've done and been part of, I think that the skate park in Kingsbridge is right up there as one of the most successful projects that's ever been done. And again, it was the community that did it really, and we were just helped it along. And so I very much hope that this will go forward and will be as beneficial as the Kingsbridge one is. Can I just say, I was at a meeting yesterday at County, meeting with the sort of youth engagement team there, and their top priority, that's young people in Devon, for this year was things to do and places to go. And I think this absolutely ticks that box. So, you know, best of luck to all those involved in it, and I hope that other members of the executive will support it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Brazil. Mr. Secretary, would you like to add anything?
No, I think that's it.
Councillor Birch, then Councillor Hodgson, and I'll take more as they come in.
Thank you. First of all, can I say this is an excellent scheme, and quite obviously I'll be supporting the recommendation. But first, I'd like to mention all the work that Mr. Sakula has put into this project. Really, he's done a sterling job on getting this forward, and not only helping the local skateboarding community, but it's so a big thanks to Rob for what he did. I mean, this, you know, what we need to bear in mind is that the current skate park at Borough Park is our responsibility, and it really is in a pretty awful state, and it does need replacing, and this couldn't have come at a better time. And I think the message that will come out from this council will be a very positive message, is that, you know, we are providing a valuable youth activity, not only for Totnes, but also the district, because it's very close to the railway station. And so all those people who want to use it from Ivy Bridge or South Brant or in that area, then all they have to do is get on the train. Not at South Brent, but they can go up the road to Ivy Bridge. But it's an excellent scheme, and also a thanks to the Totnes Town Council for deciding at its meeting on Monday to contribute a further £30,000. So this is an excellent scheme, and we all support the recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Birch. Councillor Hodgson.
Thank you. Yeah, I'd like to agree with all the points that have already been made, and also offer my thanks to Rob Sakula, because, I mean, I've been on this case since about 2009, I think. So it's really welcome to see this coming to fruition. And I know that there's been a lot of mountains to climb and fall down the other side of a few times. But and it was delightful on Monday that there was the support at the town council. One query was requested, and that was just asking who actually will be holding the finances. Will it be South Hams? I assumed it was. Yeah, I was correct on that. Okay, thank you. I can confirm that back. Maybe they've already asked that question directly to you. The other thing I was going to say was 2 weeks ago I went to a youth strategy meeting that Caring Town Totnes had run, which Trey, the group I chair, had done the work on, and the conclusions were talking very strongly about, you know, despite the fact that maybe people think that Totnes is quite a wealthy area, in fact there's a lot of real need in Totnes for youth support in terms of mental health and, you know, somewhere for youngsters to do things. And some of you may be aware that early in the spring, without any notice to anybody, the Rushbrook Youth Centre was closed to young people. And so that's, you know, it's upset an awful lot of people. And I think this bit of really good news will be, you know, really help to bridge that gap, because at the moment there is actually looking for something else for somewhere for the young people to go as well. But this is really welcome, and yeah, thanks. And it's wonderful to know it'll be happening this year. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor O'Callaghan.
Yeah, just going back to the train, it's just as well we've got a really good skate park in Kingsbridge, because we don't have a train to get to Totnes skate park.
But they're good for service.
Yeah, but yeah, as echoing what everyone said about Rob, and we've got the excellent skate park in Kingsbridge, and so good luck to Totnes and its new skate park. It's brilliant news, because I know I've been trying to get it for a long time. Various hurdles have been happening, and people in Kingsbridge might be wondering why we're putting so much money into the skate park in Totnes, £150,000. I think we've already put, the council already put money in previously, whereas I seem to recall the council were only putting in about £30,000 or so from memory into Kingsbridge. But just to explain, or try to explain, that Kingsbridge was able to take advantage of, Rob will correct me if I'm wrong, Sport England lottery funding, at the time, and there are pretty rigid rules on these things, annoyingly, not much flexibility. So we were able to, not me, but personally, but the council was able to get a very big grant. So that was great news. So the council wasn't having to put a lot of money in. So that might explain why less money went into Kingsbridge, in case people are listening to this and wondering why Totnes is getting so much more money. We were able to take advantage of that, and Totnes, I believe, wasn't, because of the rules. The project wasn't far advanced enough at the time, but Rob may be able to correct me if that's wrong, but they were, for whatever reason, they weren't able to get that major central funding, and that's why the town council and the district council is putting a lot more money in relative to Kingsbridge Skate Park. But Kingsbridge is a roaring success, as has been said, and I'm sure Totnes will be too.
Thank you, Councillor O'Callaghan. Councillor Hodgson.
Thank you. I just wanted to quickly mention also that the youngsters do actually do this networking. So the ones, you know, I mean, I know there's about the trains, but actually where the skate park is right by where all the buses come in as well. So Buckfastleigh is a short bus ride away, Kingsbridge, etc. So I think it's a real opportunity for them to actually do the networking, which is actually, again, really important for their independence and networking. So yeah, it won't just be serving the youngsters of Totnes, it will just be part of that whole network that we're providing in South Hams of amenities. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Donnet.
Thank you. Whilst I support funding skate parks, I do want to highlight that the skate park that's being replaced in Totnes Way Out is already way better than the tiny provision we have in Ivybridge, where we have also been working for a very long time to get funding for a skate park. So I hope everyone will be similarly minded when we come and ask for a pot of money to support ours, that we will be able to get that.
Just to reassure you, I have a meeting with the Director of Place and Enterprise this afternoon where we will be talking about that very topic. Any more questions? No. Okay. Well, I mean, absolutely. I'm going to allow you to do that. But you happy, Councillor Brazil, if Councillor Birch moves the recommendations?
No, as a local member, I think that's only right and proper that he should do that.
Okay.
And I'll and if Jackie wants to second it as a resident of Totnes, yeah.
There we are then. Members, we've heard that item 3 has been agreed by Totnes Town Council, and therefore we are approving bringing forward the in-principle allocation of 150 to this year's financial year delivery plan, and we're delegating authority to the Green Space Officer in conjunction with the lead exec member, which is Councillor Brazil, and local ward members. So if I could see a show of hands in support, please. That is...
Thank you, that's unanimous.
Yeah,
thank you very much.
Excellent, thank you very much. Right. Thanks, Mr Secular. Agenda item 9, local cycling and walking infrastructure plan. Councillors Birch and Hancock.
Okay. I won't say too much because we had a very comprehensive briefing to members yesterday given by Gemma, and the slides and the recording have been distributed. And what's more, if you're really into this topic, there is a link to a 600-page report that backs up all that's in this report. So I'll leave Gemma to speak to the report. And in doing so, I'd just like to give a big thanks to Gemma for all the work that she's put into this. She's had some quite frustrating times in putting this together, but well, I don't know whether you want to tell people that your frustrating times putting it together, but over to you, Gemma.
Thanks, Councillor Birch. Yeah, so I'll keep this quick because I think most people are probably quite familiar with the report, but the report takes us back to what led to us developing an LC-WIP. So it identifies that back in, it all started when we declared a climate change and biodiversity emergency. Active travel was identified as a priority in the strategy that followed that. It was in the corporate strategy since 2022, and it remains obviously in the council plan. And then we looked at what we could do as a district level council to promote active travel, and out of that, an LC-WIP basically came out as a really important document for us to have. And it is a strategic document that identifies the areas of the council that are the priority places where we could make the best improvements to improve active travel, and active travel is walking, wheeling and cycling. So it gives us this strategic 10-year plan of identifying projects, but critically for us, because we're not the highway authority, it is an evidence document that we can embed within any revision to the local plan to allow us to hopefully strengthen our policies and ultimately secure Section 106 money for improvements to active travel on sites that come forward near to priority routes. So the report basically, it takes you through the history. It summarises this very long 600-page report as best as I can, and then it talks about the next stages, which are that there'll be at the end of the LC WIP, there is a prioritised there's a quick win prioritisation list, and there's a longer term prioritisation list. But the next stage of that is actually to work with Devon and to work with members and town councils to whittle that list down to work out what are the deliverable projects. And then we can give support in kind to town councils to help them progress those projects, and ultimately then work to get this LC WIP embedded as the evidence within our local plan as and when it gets revised, so we can secure some funding to deliver some of these active travel interventions that have been listed. Yeah, so the recommendation is that it gets adopted to be embedded in the local plan. Thank you.
Thanks, Gemma. Questions, members? Councillor McKay.
I'm just going to repeat really the question I asked yesterday. It does concern me that there does seem to be this difference in methodology between what happens at Devon County and the approach that you've taken, and the fact that will possibly lead to difficulties in drawing down any fundings from Devon and their programme, and they are the prime funder now because that is the route that funds take. Is there anything we can do about that, really? I mean, and we have now a council. Sorry.
You now have a useful link.
We now have a useful link whereby that blockage could be addressed. I don't know, but it's obviously something that is of concern because the substantial amount of funding would normally come through that route, wouldn't it? I mean, Section 106 money is one thing, but there is this other funding route that is being currently blocked, really.
Yes, I completely agree. And we have because obviously I've been working with Devon quite closely through this whole project, and I can only say that my relationship with them has got stronger as the project has got on. If I had the involvement I have now that I had at the beginning, we might have been able to come together closer. The project end might have been able to end at a closer point. It is uncomfortable that they have adopted a different methodology. Their methodology does deviate from the standard LC WIP methodology, so I would say that they have taken a non-traditional approach. The LC WIP it's meant to direct funding to the areas that will have the greatest impact, and their methodology was, we have this network of multi-user trails, let's look at where we can extend them. Because I think it was incredibly hard looking across South Hams to work out where the priority areas across a county would be impossible, almost impossible. So I expect that's why they had to take that different approach, because it's extremely challenging when you try and work out, look at the data on that sort of macro level. But I think with the closer working relationship that we've got, and an LC WIP, it does get reviewed. So I'm hopeful that in time we can work to a more united position.
Thanks, Gemma. I will come to you, John, but it would be churlish, as we have the leader of the county here, not to ask him to comment.
Well, not only have you got the leader, you've also got the cabinet member for transport on these things. Can I just say that one of the first things that we'll be hoping to do at the council is to encourage a better relationship and partnership working with the county council. I think it's fair to say that many of us will have felt the frustration that we haven't managed to cooperate as well as we should do with the county. And we want to change that, and I think this is a prime example actually of where it seems ridiculous that Gemma is all doing this fantastic local work because she knows the local area and is getting input from local people, only to be overridden by somebody based in Exeter who has a different scheme to which they're working to, and that just seems a nonsense. So I think that's exactly the kind of area that we want to change, and hopefully that will allay your fears, John. Can I just say, slightly more concerning for you, John, maybe that actually no, the funding doesn't come to county council now; it goes to the combined county authority, who then pass it on to the county council, who then pass it on to the district council. All very, very sensible. Yeah, obviously taking their own cuts as it goes. Yeah, yeah.
A wonderful example of devolution in
Yeah,
action.
no, indeed. There we go. Yeah.
Councillor Birch.
Yeah, I think what we need to bear in mind is in the recommendation is that the work that Gemma and this council have done is that we have got a document that we can use as an evidence base to support active travel for any future revision to the local plan. We certainly couldn't do that with what the county council have produced. In other words, we have produced a document that is going to have use for us in the local plan, and thus the reason that Councillor Hancock is involved. We couldn't do that with what the county has produced. The county's options, I've only got 2 options in South Hams, and one crept in at the last minute. The first was a cycle way or proposal in Nos Mayo, and then at the end there was the one from Totnes to Newton Abbot. But there's just the 2. There's nothing else dealt with. There's nothing else dealt with as far as going into the detail that we've done. So I think that the document they've produced, putting it bluntly, would be no use to us in the local plan, whereas what we have done is of use to us.
And I echo that, and I have to say, I've had conversations from members of PL21 in Ivybridge saying to me, "Ho ho ho! I know that the LC Whip at County has a cycle path from Yampton to Nos Mayo in there, Councillor Thomas. That's very interesting, isn't it? Ho ho ho!" And I've been able to tell them quite honestly that I wasn't aware of that until they told me, and I certainly wasn't lobbying for it either. Well, absolutely, they're obviously trying to tell me something. Yeah, Councillor Hodgson.
Yeah, I'd like to congratulate Gemma on the work, not only the work that we've seen before us and what's been going on for some while, but also the fact that I'm aware behind the scenes you've put a huge amount of energy into kind of individual routes and seeing what can be done and really demonstrating that good partnership approach, which I think, from once we started to realise that actually Devon County Council, I think probably unbeknownst to most of us as county councillors as well, weren't aware that county was doing its own thing, because the way it was sold to us at county was that, oh, this is going out to the districts, all this money, and they're going to do this marvellous scoping. And I remember thinking, oh, that's good. And then to hear that they'd actually been doing their own thing and what that looked like and how it was coming up with from a different basis was just ridiculous. And so I think it's been, because you've negotiated well with them, and we've obviously made those points, but I think we have a different administration now, and I've got real confidence that we're going to see differences in the way that these partnerships work. That they're not kind of jarring, but that were not. No, don't for 1 minute actually think that was deliberate. I think it was just the way it happened. But I think a real care to make sure we make good value of what happens, because that's what really comes down to. Because everything costs. Whether it's officer time or whether it's actually just putting plans together to make sure that these work forward to where we can actually deliver stuff. Because otherwise, no wonder the public get fed up, because all they hear about is great plans, and then 10 years later it's still on a shelf somewhere, and if we want to do anything with it, we've got to start from scratch. So I think what I'd like to see is that how we can try and do something with this to just find funding, even if it's well laundered, having going through all the systems, should I say. I think, to make sure that we can actually just drive this as smoothly as we can. And certainly, I'm really willing to try and be as best a vehicle as I can to make some of that happen, because I'm really, really keen on these things, because I think it's the only way we're going to get, a big change in how people travel. Thank you.
Any more questions, members? No, and I can't see any online either. Councillor Birch, do you want to make a recommendation? Councillor Hancock, 1 second. Oh, yeah. Okay. Recommendation to adopt the local cycling and walking infrastructure plan has been proposed and seconded. Can I see a show of hands in support, please?
That's unanimous. Thank you, Leader.
Thank you, Mr. White. Okay, thanks, Gemma. Okay, agenda item 10 is the debt write-off report. Councillor Ake, start with you.
Thank you, Leader. I'd note that the appendix to this report is exempt, but I would suggest that there's little need to examine the individual cases listed therein, and therefore no requirement to go into part 2 on this with the agreement of the meeting. The overall picture on the debt write-off report is, I think, positive. The amount of debt written off has largely been trending downwards, and perhaps more importantly, the in-year collection rates are very good, with a 98.8% collection rate on council tax, where every 0.x% really matters for 2 reasons. One, because it's quite a substantial sum of money, and 2, because it relieves future councils of the need to eventually write off debt that has accrued. So I would note, with regard to the business of this item, namely the authorisation of writing off of debts over £5,000, that in the majority of cases that is a matter of force majeure. We're obliged to write them off because no other avenue is open to us. I see that Jenny is there, and I would like to congratulate her and her team for the performance, both in recovering debts and therefore avoiding them having to be written off, and for the strong in-year collection rates. So to that extent, I'd propose that that we approve this report and the write-offs contained within it.
Thank you, Councillor Rake. Jenny, did you want to?
No, thank you, Leader.
That's fine. Members, questions on the report? Councillor Hodgson.
Question really, just to say that I think it's unfortunate, but we just have to accept this. I recognise the work that goes on behind the scenes to try and recover these debts where possible. And I think as much as it might be sort of unsatisfactory sometimes from the outside of this council chamber, but I know within that I certainly have full confidence that this is where we are, and it's sometimes you just have to let that go. You know, it's not great, but it's you know, I admire the officers for the work they put in to actually try and recover these debts.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, and I'd like to echo what Councillor Rake said. I mean, this is actually about the collection rate, isn't it? I mean, we're looking at write-offs, but actually what we should really be looking at is the collection rate. And, you know, the collection rate on council tax is 98.81, I think, and on business rates it's 98.3. So, I mean, we are moving towards that magic 99% that I know the Revs and Ben's team are really keen to get to. And I think, you know, we should be, as long as every time we get this quarterly write-off report, that figure is moving fractionally up, then I think we should be content that the right course of action is being pursued. Councillor Dommett, you? No? Councillor Bonham. Councillor Bonham.
Yeah, thank you, Leader. Just a small question on one point of detail, and well done to Councillor Rake for presenting such a good set of figures. And point of detail, there's one small item where there's a debt write-off which seems attributable to a DWP error. I think it's in housing benefits. Just wondering, why are we taking this debt? Is there no way of reverting back to DWP if they are in error and trying to get the money back? I don't think it's a massive amount, but still the principle, I think, is important.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Bonham. Jenny?
Yeah, I'm happy to answer that one. It's quite a technical explanation, I'm afraid. Basically, all overpayments are classified in a certain way, and if DWP make an error, essentially the council still remains responsible for it because we've paid out the housing benefit. What I would say in terms of mitigating the situation, if we've actually paid the housing benefit out correctly in the first place, we will still receive that back in subsidy. It's just our ability to recover the overpayment.
Okay, you got that, Councillor Bonham?
I think so. Thank you.
Okay, that's great, thank you. Councillor Taylor.
Yeah, can you tell me how long the debt stays live for after it's written off? Because it's not, doesn't mean it's gone away, does it?
No, so what we do is we write off debt. It's obviously best practice not to have things in your balance sheet that you're not going to collect. But what we do is we will at various periods of time just revisit, just to see if there is any opportunity to actually reverse that write off and put it back onto the books, so to speak.
And a time on that?
I mean, we wouldn't, obviously do it forever, but we will, look at regular intervals to see if we can actually reverse the write-off.
Councillor Rake.
Thank you, Leader. Just to add, I neglected to also thank Jenny for, I mean, obviously the 1.9% of uncollected council tax, or the marginal uncollected items are of concern, but we should never forget that there are real people who lie behind them, and I think Jenny should also be congratulated for the pragmatic and sensitive way in which those cases are handled as well. And I think that should be borne in mind.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And on the basis that points are important, it's 1.19, not 1.9. So we found some more points there, Councillor Rake, UBC. Glad to see.
I'm thrilled, Chair.
Any more questions on the write-off report? In which case, this is just for noting, Councillor Rake, so there is an approval at 2. Do you want to move the approval? Oh, you can't because you're online. Sorry. Someone else would like to move the approval for me, please? Councillor Brazil, someone second that? Thank you, Councillor McKay. Right, that's lovely. All those in favour?
That's unanimous. Thank you, Leader.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Simon. Okay, final agenda item today then is agenda item 11, climate change and biodiversity update, leisure solar update. Councillor Dommett.
Thank you. So this report speaks to our proposal to install solar panels across district leisure centres. Our leisure centres have been identified as one of the highest carbon emitters and therefore our greatest opportunity to make a large reduction in our carbon footprint. Our proposal is to install solar panels on Ivybridge, Dartmouth and Totnes leisure centres, Kingsbridge already having permission, providing the sites with green electricity. The bonus of this proposal is that not only are we reducing our CO2 emissions by over 92 tonnes per year, in line with our aspirations towards council becoming net zero, we're also recouping the 460,000 costs of installing the panels in as little as 6 years in some cases, by selling the electricity generated to the leisure centre operators and any excess back to the grid, which also enables us to reduce the running costs of the leisure centre for our leisure providers by nearly 84,000 a year by providing them with reduced rate green electricity. So we are asking for your approval to fund £460,000 through internal borrowing to install solar panels across Ivybridge, Dartmouth and Totnes to make not only beneficial impacts in reducing our carbon emissions, but also ensuring the leisure provision for residents the leisure provision for residents is as financially sustainable as possible.
Thank you. Mr. Mills, did you want to add anything?
Absolutely fine with that. Happy to.
Okay. Thank you very much. Councillor Birch.
How confident are we that our customer will pay its bill? what is critical in this is that we are supplying electricity. I won't use the name. I'll just say customer. We all know who it is, but I'll say customer. Yes, we're supplying electricity to a customer. Presumably, we will send that customer a bill, and then we hope to get paid for it. I mean, what is the key to all this is being paid by our customer. So I just would helpful to have an assurance that that will happen.
I think, in fairness to Mr. Mills, I'm going to ask Mr. Brooke that question.
Thank you, Leader. Yes, it's a valid question, and it is. It would be remiss to not be aware of the risk. We've had many discussions in this chamber and outside of this chamber around our delivery partner, Fusion. I think it's a manageable risk. And actually, if you're looking holistically at the risk to the council, and we should do that, one of the reasons why this project makes sense is that it supports a number of aspirations. So it de-risks the running costs of the centre for the operator, which helps them in their ability to stay solvent and their cash flow and ultimately pay us. Were the worst outcome that you referenced to occur, clearly we wouldn't want that, that's bad, but then any future operator, or indeed in the interim if it was the council, would have a reduced direct cost of operation. And then in some further future scenario where potentially the community are involved, if that was ever to be the case, they would have a more sustainable, financially more sustainable, as well as environmentally more sustainable buildings to operate. There is no change in the risk profile currently, and actually we are working actively with them, and there will be a future report back to the executive on how we can amend our contract to make it more resilient and more favourable to us and to them. So you're absolutely right to raise the risk, but on balance, I think it's an acceptable one.
Thank you, Ms. Brooke. Councillor O'Callaghan.
Thank you. Obviously, with the caveat that's just been raised, I think this is really good news, really good report. It's what people, I think, want to see. I have wanted to see for a while. It's a simple, well, it's obviously not that simple, but it's a good and obvious solution to help the environment, to help the leisure centres with their financial position, and to help their resilience, which has been mentioned, and it's good for the customers as well at the end of the day, of the leisure centre, and for residents, and people are seeing that we'll be able to see with their own eyes what we'll be doing, and it's all. I think the report says it's all going to be happening this year. I mean, Councillor Dominic will be hopefully able to assure us on that. But Kingsbridge, where I'm a ward member, I think is going to have the panels on first. I believe that's going to be this summer. And the other 3 leisure centres, I think I read, were going to be having their panels on this year as well. So I think it's really good news.
Yes, thank you. Councillor Hodgson.
Thank you. Yeah, just to echo what's already been said, I think it's really good. It's been long awaited. I think it's a really good model. It gives us, shows that we're giving good leadership and showing, what leisure centres need to be looking like, but to be run. And I think it gives a good, encouraging others to put solar panels on their roofs as well. Especially since publicly we can make the figures of people aware of the figures and the savings that are possible. Thank you, and so well done.
Yeah, I would echo that. I think it's really important we're seen to be leading by example, and this is a classic case in point. It would seem odd if we didn't, in all honesty. Councillor O'Callaghan.
Sorry, I did ask, they are all going to be on this year, are they? The panels?
That's the plan.
Thank you.
Yes. Was that a yes? Sorry, I didn't catch that. Yes.
Thank you.
That's the plan, I think, was what the answer was.
All things being equal, Councillor Birch. All things being equal. Okay, any more questions on this agenda item? Sorry, just a minute, sorry.
I will get used to this, I beg your pardon. Chair, sorry, just to give an assurance on that, we actually have what's termed an at-risk meeting with the provider today on site at Quayside. The reason why they want to do that is that they want to get in as good a state of readiness as we possibly can be. This is programmed in for this financial year, just to give that assurance without any ambiguity. If there's an issue or something occurs that knocks that timetable off, I'll make members aware of it as soon as possible.
Okay, so we're going to have a clarification this financial year.
Oh, this financial.
Councillor Hancock.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I think the real point about this is the economic story of it, by which investing in energy saving and energy production is economically a good thing to do. It's a benefit to residents, and I think that's the story we really need to tell about net zero a lot better and a lot more loudly. That it's not a negative sum game for residents. This is positive. But just sort of on that, and just in terms of the supplier of the solar panels, I appreciate that this might be all commercially sensitive and whatnot. But are we using local suppliers to install that? And do we have, within current procurement guidelines that have changed, we can privilege local suppliers better, thus investing money in South Ham's businesses and supporting the local economy further by doing this sort of work?
I don't mind. Whoever would like to.
Okay, Chair, happy to come in there. So we have to use, because of the demand that we have for the services, we're using a number of suppliers. We do have to adhere to procurement rules as well, because if we go off a framework, it's only those that are on the actual framework themselves. The company we've chosen, we have used before and have had very satisfactory service. The other PV work, for example, in council buildings themselves, take place by a local company, and by local I mean within 30 miles. Does that help? Yeah.
Okay, any more questions around? Councillor Taylor.
Yeah, has already a survey been done on the roofs and everything to assure that they can carry all these panels? Because some of the roofs that are older will not do that.
Chair, again, very, very happy to take the question. So we, across both West Devon and South Hams, we had surveys done on all of the leisure centres. Rather interestingly, it did flag up that one roof, not in South Hams, is that its end of life and would not be capable of taking PV. The rest have all been assessed for that process. That was part of our preliminary before we would go to the bother of bringing forward a design and what have you to say, will it actually go on there and is it capable?
Thank you, Councillor Taylor. Any more for any more? No? Okay, in which case this is, as per the screen, an approve, and a delegate. So would someone like to move those, please? Councillor Hodgson, yeah, and a summons a second. Councillor Dorwich, yeah, absolutely, thank you. Right, all those in favour as per the recommendations?
That's unanimous, the three recommendations. Thank you, Leader.
Thank you very much. And I think that concludes this morning's executive. So members, officers, members of the public, thank you very much. We will see you next month.